There's a new poll out by the Washington Post, ABC News, and it doesn't look good for Hillary Clinton. It looks great for Bernie Sanders. We'll get to him in a second, okay? But right now they're comparing Hillary Clinton to Donald Trump, and it's 46% for Donald Trump, 44%. What in the world? She's losing. Oh my God, she's losing. Now, we'd been showing you poll after poll where he was catching up, and in some of the polls he tied her, or in some of the polls he was close. Now, in the Washington Post ABC News poll, he's winning by 2 points, within the margin of error still. But my God, look at this turn of events. Is that the headline? Nope, that's not the headline of the story. Okay, but they acknowledge that represents an 11-point shift toward the presumptive Republican nominee since March, okay? Now, it's not just that he's winning, it's that there was an 11-point shift. So that is among, in this poll specifically, and if you look at all the polling that's happened in all the polls, okay? So that's a huge, huge story. The sea change in their polling numbers. Washington Post framing, though, is curious. So first of all, they're trying to have a positive spin on it for Hillary Clinton anyway. They say, nonetheless, Clinton is rated ahead of Trump across a range of attributes and issues, and she's seen as having superior experience, temperament, and personality to be president. But none of that should be the lead. That should be like later in the story, but on the other hand, I guess there's a smidgen of good news for Hillary Clinton. She used to be winning by double digits, now she's losing to Trump, but okay, I guess she's got, they think she has better experience. No, we're leading with that. And they explain Trump is viewed as unqualified by a majority of adults, but he has strong appeal to voters as the anti-Clinton candidate who can bring change to Washington in an election year in which outsiders have thrived. See, right there, that is absolutely key. He's winning independents, and he's the change candidate, and she's the status quo candidate. That is disastrous. If that holds, that in an era and clearly in this election cycle where people don't want the status quo, both on the Republican and Democratic side, there's been a revolution. I was going to say quiet, but it ain't. It hasn't been quiet. It has been a very loud revolution against the establishment, and she's the establishment candidate. Wow, she's in trouble. She's in real trouble. But that is not the headline for the Washington Post. The headline was, poll, election 2016 shapes up as a contest of negatives. Now, that's true, and that's an important part of the poll, but that's not the headline. The lead of the story is, oh my God, Donald Trump might win. In fact, right now he's leading. No, they're both negative, both negative. Let's not overfocus on Trump winning. No, because to the establishment, Trump can't win. So see no evil, hear no evil, report no evil. If the polls are telling you one thing, they don't believe your lying eyes, we're going to redirect you somewhere else. Right in the beginning of the story, they also say, never in the history of the post-ABC poll have two major party nominees been viewed as harshly as Clinton and Trump. Again, true, and again, problematic for the Democratic Party. We already know what Trump is. I can't believe we're running a candidate, if the things hold as they are now, who would be even more unfavorable on the Democratic side. That's unbelievable, right? But again, it's viewed as 50-50, 50-50. They explain nearly 6 in 10 registered voters say they have a negative impressions of both major candidates. Overall, Clinton's net negative rating among registered voters is -16, while Trump's is -17, though Trump's numbers have improved since March, okay? So, look, the fact that she is close in unfavorable numbers and yes, in the overall polling, is not something that you should be like, well, don't worry about it, at least she's close. No, not at least she's close. She should be killing him. And by the way, she was. In earlier polls, she was leading by 11 points, and she's not anymore. That trend where she is now losing should be, by any rational standard, the focus of the story. But no, the Washington Post cannot have it that Hillary Clinton will lose. She will not lose. She will not lose. I mean, look at what they did to Sanders, right? The famous 16 negative headlines in 16 hours, and that wasn't all the scathing op-eds against Bernie Sanders. We can't have Bernie Sanders because Hillary Clinton's the better nominee. Well, it turns out she's not, and now the numbers are in. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter. They're both bad. They're both bad. Okay, we got to cover it up. Okay? And then when I say that, I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression. The guys who write this story, they don't think they're in the middle of covering anything up. If you told them that, they'd look at you like you got two heads on. Like, no, you're crazy, man. We're not biased. No, you live in the Washington bubble where the status quo is seen as wonderful. Oh, what a studied, great politician, policy wonk Hillary Clinton. No, the rest of the country hates the status quo, hates the establishment that you're in. That's why Trump being the change candidate means he can win, but they can't see straight. Their bias is like, no. Of course the establishment candidate is going to win, right? Of course Donald Trump can't win. Well, you're wrong. He can win. Look at your own poll. Okay. Now let's dive into more specifics. They at least acknowledge, quote, Clinton is the embodiment of political experience and Trump is a symbol of the outsider promising big change. Now I say they acknowledge because but really they're not acknowledging that one is better than the other. They're just acknowledging that obvious fact. But I can tell you right now, the country is in a change mood. They're not in a, oh yes, the establishment is wonderful. It's great that she has all that experience in the status quo mood. And I'm not saying that because that's how I feel. I'm saying that because Bernie Sanders made up a 60-point deficit in the national rankings against Hillary Clinton in 1 year, a guy with no name recognition. Donald Trump beat 16 other Republicans to win this because he was an outsider going for change. Wakey, wakey, establishment media, you're totally wrong and you're asleep at the wheel. All right, now more specific. Trump holds a huge lead among men while she has a substantial, though smaller, lead among women. Clinton also meets some resistance among Democratic men. That is a huge red flag. Now, everybody talks about like, oh, Trump can't win. She's got a big lead among women. Yeah, but what you never hear is that he's got a huge lead among men. He's even winning with some Democratic men. Not winning overall, but he's winning them over. And she's now seeing erosion in those numbers. If Hillary Clinton can't hold Democratic men, Donald Trump's going to win the election. So, and he's attacking her in all the ways that pushes those guys' buttons. And meanwhile, the establishment media is like, see no evil, hear no evil, report no evil. No. Don't be ridiculous. Of course Hillary's going to win. That's not what the numbers say. Okay, are you ready for this? Look at this. Trump is winning 57% of white voters, while Clinton gets just 33%. Wow. 57 to 33 among white voters. Remember what Hillary Clinton's team was saying against Bernie Sanders? Oh, no, he just does well among white voters. I don't know if you know this. The majority of the country is white. Meanwhile, you're getting hammered by Donald Trump among white voters. Does she do better with minority voters? Of course she does. But believe it or not, it's all relative to previous elections. Donald Trump is doing better with Latinos than Mitt Romney did. What? He's doing better with minorities than Mitt Romney did. I know, it seems unbelievable, but it is. It's real. To ignore reality doesn't change it. It only makes your situation worse because you're not adjusting to the facts on the ground. So as crazy as that sounds, it's true. And he is clobbering her among whites. Red flag, iceberg straight ahead. But all of Washington's like, what iceberg? I don't see any iceberg. Okay, here we go with more. Trump's narrow overall lead among registered voters comes mainly from his current strength among independents who prefer him to Clinton by 13 points. If only there was a Democratic candidate in the race who did better with independent voters. Oh, right, there is. It's Bernie Sanders, the guy that the Democratic establishment, in their infinite wisdom, told the whole country can't win. But wait a minute, Trump's main strength is with independent voters. Bernie Sanders beats Donald Trump with independent voters. No, he can't win. Don't be ridiculous. No, we're going to go with the status quo candidate. That'll definitely work. Okay, now finally they turn to Sanders. And look at what they say. Meanwhile, Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, who has given Clinton a stiff challenge in the contest for the Democratic nomination, enjoys the most positive rating of the three. Among registered voters, Sanders is net positive, 49 to 41, and has seen his image improve steadily the longer he has been a candidate. That's mentioned near the end of the article. Oh, by the way, there's still a guy in the race who actually would kill Donald Trump. But shh, he said he can't. No way, no, it can't be Bernie. It can't be Bernie. It's definitely got to be the establishment candidate. She would do better, but the polling indicates she would do much, much worse. Nope, can't have it. I like that last part though. His image has improved steadily the longer he's been a candidate. Wait a minute, I thought the whole argument against Bernie Sanders was, no, he hasn't been attacked yet. If the race kept going and he got attacked, well, then he couldn't withstand that scrutiny and he'd lose those numbers. First of all, she's been attacking him from day one. She ran negative ads, and that's proven. And right now, there's Hillary Clinton surrogates out there running pieces of, if the Republicans were to attack Bernie Sanders, this is how they would do it. Sounds like OJ's book. If I were to have killed those two people, this is how I would have done it, right? So then they list all the attacks against Bernie Sanders and go, well, I didn't attack him. I'm just saying if the Republicans had attacked him, they would call him a Trotskyite and this and that and all the different things that they list. Yeah, he's been attacked. He's been attacked. In fact, they ran against him on all those issues when he was running for Senate. It didn't work. He won anyway. You know why? Because despite what everybody in the establishment says, independents like him. They find him honest and trustworthy. But they can't get it through their heads because that's not their worldview. Their worldview is Bernie Sanders would change things. Exactly right. That's why they like him, and that's why you can't stand him. No. If I'm on top, if I'm the Washington Post, I'm TV News, I don't want things to change. Now, finally, let me put it all together for you. The Washington Post didn't. This is the numbers from their own poll, okay, Washington Post and ABC News. But when you see it together, you see how stark it is. So here's unfavorable to favorable ratings. As I just told you, Donald Trump's at minus 17. Historically low numbers. Hillary Clinton right behind him at minus 16. Bernie Sanders is at plus 8. That's a 24-point difference between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. But this is the same Bernie Sanders that was argued against in this same Washington Post over and over and over again. Unelectable. Obviously unelectable. I mean, he's 24 points better in favorability than the one we think is super electable. What? They're so biased, they can't even see their own bias. They're so blinded by it. They live in that Washington bubble. It's that old saying about the fish. They ask the fish, how's the water? He says, what water? To them, the establishment must always be right and the system must be maintained. And if the numbers indicate otherwise, we just ignore them.